Right. Let me do this. It is Friday. I thought it was Thursday. Enough said on that one. I got up at 5:30 in the morning, I think, and put aside some videos. What's up with that? Some videos aside, doing a little different today with YouTube videos instead of articles in the Copilot enabled Internet Explorer recommended reading newspaper magazine stream, infinite scroll stream, which I think it is indeed infinite scroll. I'm gonna also maybe start clicking on some other things because I noticed, like, this is AI empowered, this stream, right? This content that it's aggregating now, and it can become like any AI enabled conversation, a bit of an echo chamber. So yeah, I would love some feedback, and I'll ask people in lieu of an absence of an audience, in comments, etc., what would be interesting. I might do them in the Discord channel, so or face to face. Wait, there's an idea. I right clicked and opened in a separate tab a bunch of videos that just clickbaited me, basically. I haven't watched them yet. Some I forgot. Some I've even forgotten what they were. Take them in the order that I opened them, I think.
The sort of 5-step process. First, make your requirements.
Elon Musk explains his 5-step algorithm for running companies. Right, Elon.
Dumb. Your requirements are definitely dumb. Does not matter who gave them to you. It's particularly dangerous if a smart person gave you the requirements.
Wait, what was that?
First, make your requirements less dumb. Your requirements are definitely dumb. Does not matter.
Okay. Step 1, make requirements less stupid, less dumb. Okay.
Who gave them to you. It's particularly dangerous if a smart person gave you the requirements, because you might not question them enough. Everyone's wrong, no matter who you are. Everyone's wrong some of the time. So make your requirements less dumb.
No matter who you are, everyone is wrong some of the times. Good advice.
Then try very hard to delete the part or process. This is actually very important. If you're not occasionally adding things back in, you are not deleting enough. Right. The bias tends to be very strongly towards let's add this part or process step in case we need it. But you can basically make in-case arguments for so many things. And for a rocket that is trying to be the first fully reusable rocket, there's never been a fully reusable rocket. People don't understand. Like, this is like the holy grail of rocketry. 100%. Okay? And so you got to delete the part or process step. Super important. And you can
delete the product what process? Delete product proposal process?
Like, hedge your bets. So that's why the quick fins, for example, do not fold down, because that's a whole extra mechanism that we don't need. And also, if whatever
streamline the product process,
it must come with a name, not a department, because you can't ask the department. You have to ask a person, and that person who's putting forward the requirement or constraint must agree that they must take responsibility for that requirement. Otherwise, you can have a requirement that basically an intern 2 years ago randomly came up with off the cuff, and they're not even at the company anymore. These things are often just way more silly than you'd think. Okay, so step 1, make your requirements less dumb. Step 2, delete the part or process step. If you're not adding things back in 10% of the time, you're clearly not deleting enough. Right. And then only the third step is simplify or optimize. The third step, not the first step.
Simplify.
The third step is because it's possibly the most common error of a smart engineer is to optimize a thing that should not exist. Everyone's been trained in
That's a good advice. It's a trap, isn't it? Trying to find ways to optimize something that doesn't need to exist.
High school and college that you got to answer the question. Convergent logic. Yep. So you can't tell the professor your question is dumb. You'll get a bad grade. You have to answer the question. Yep. So everyone's basically, without knowing it, they got like mental straitjacket on. They'll work on optimizing the thing that should simply not exist.
Right.
And then finally you get to step 4, which is accelerate cycle time. You're moving too slowly, go faster. But don't go faster until you have worked on the other 3 things first. You can always make things go faster. And then the final step is automate. Now I have personally made the mistake of going backwards on all 5 steps, multiple times. Literally, I automated, accelerated, simplified, and then deleted. One example I've talked about before is like there were these like fiberglass mats on top of the Model 3 battery pack that were in between the floor pan and the battery. And it was at one point choking the battery pack production line, and I was like basically living on the battery pack production line, like trying to fix the line. It was like choking the entire Model 3 production program. So the first mistake was I like tried to fix the automation, like make the robot better. So automating was a mistake, then accelerating was a mistake, then optimizing was a mistake, and finally I said, what the hell are these mats for? And I asked the battery safety team, what are these mats for? Are they for fire protection or something? They said, no, they're for noise and vibration. Then I asked an NBA noise vibration harshness team, what's it for? They said fire safety. So literally, it was like being in a Dilbert cartoon, okay? It's like, actually, I feel like I'm in a Dilbert cartoon quite frequently. So then finally, okay, great. Let's try a car with the fiberglass mats and without. And they put a microphone in both and see if you can tell the difference. And you cannot. In fact, I was like, which one is which? So we just deleted them and just bypassed this $2 million robot cell. It was just a complete pile of nonsense.
Right. I think this is not just an algorithm for running companies, algorithm for building stuff. It's very engineer focused, but I guess people engineer their own realities. So in a way, there's some takeaways there. Keep it simple, stupid. Delete stuff often. Delete more. What is it? Delete more than you're creating. If you want to make things simple and efficient, right? And don't be stupid. Okay, what else do I have?
When it comes to influence, empathy is king. I'm just
Stop making it about you.
Let me tell you first what empathy is not. Empathy is not being vulnerable.
Evi Poumpouras, former U.S. special agent, and now the creator of the BBC Maestro course, The Art of Influence. This is an impressive human being. I think we should listen to her.
When it comes to influence, empathy is king. I'm just going to tell you.
When it comes to influence, empathy is king. Coming from Special Agent Evi and BBC Maestro, I'm going to lean into this one.
Let me tell you first what empathy is not. Empathy is not being vulnerable. I know. The trend is let's all be vulnerable. I'm okay with it. Just make sure there's an outcome you're looking for. Don't be vulnerable just to be vulnerable. What's the point? I want you to think about what you're sharing and why. What impact does it have on other people? Let me give you an example. I did a podcast with an individual, and prior to going to the
Please
podcast,
continue.
I knew his father had just passed away. Now, my father had passed away a little bit before that. When I went to the podcast, I showed up, I saw the person, and I said, hi, good to see you. You know, I heard about your father. I'm really sorry. I can't imagine how hard that must be. And he began to tell me about his dad who passed away. At no point during this interaction did I say, you know, my dad passed away too. And then start to offload what I went through. Why? Why did I not do that? Because that's not empathy. Because in that moment, it was about him. And it was about him and his dad. And him sharing with me his struggle and what he was going through. My job in being empathetic was to sit and listen and be there.
She's got a really good point. I think this was another video that I almost clicked on. Maybe that's why this one was in the same sort of thing that was about oversharing. I think what she just described there could be oversharing, right? Like, I'm definitely guilty of doing this. I consider myself a very empathetic person, but I am guilty of thinking that if somebody's sharing their vulnerability with me, that an empathetic response is for me to share my vulnerability with them in that same conversation. But often I have found myself in conversations with people where they feel hurt by that because they feel like I'm making the conversation about me. And then I feel hurt back as well because I feel like, no, I'm sympathizing. Perhaps maybe that is sympathizing, not empathizing. It's like, oh, you went through that too? I've been through that as well. And I'm sympathizing with you about it. She's talking about empathy, pure, real empathy.
Which I did. Later on in the conversation, or actually towards the end, it came up organically. Yeah, my father passed away too, so I can understand what that was like. That was it. Sometimes we think empathy is, oh, you've been through this? Let me tell you, I've been through this too. But what you're doing in that moment is you're actually robbing them of that moment. You're making it about you.
Yeah.
And what do we say in this course?
Well, you might be.
It's not about you. It's about them. Let people have that moment. You don't need to share. You just need to be there and listen. Be an empathetic listener. Empathy also isn't, I know what you're going through. I've been there. Let's say, same scenario, my father hadn't passed away. If I turned around and said to him, oh, I know that must be hard. Do I really know? No, because my father never passed away. Do you follow? So think about how you're engaging people. Empathy is, that must be really hard. I can't imagine what you're going through. Empathy is, I'm sorry you're going through that. I feel for you. When you meet someone, be genuinely curious about them. Forget you. Don't even talk about you. You're going to use Ted. Tell me about yourself. Explain to me what you do for a living. Describe to me what you're looking for in friendships or relationships. Let them do the talking and then really be curious, really be listen. Don't just wait to talk. Don't just wait to tell them what you want to share. Don't just wait to just own the conversation. Be there and be present. Show people that they matter. Show people that you are hearing them. Show people that you want to have.
I just reminded this video is a video about influence, not about empathy. But so far she's talking about 2 points about how to be more empathetic.
Have a good relationship with them. Be genuine and be curious. If you bring bullshit, it's going to read. People can feel it. You've had it where maybe people impose things on you, try to lean you to go a certain way. How does that go for you? You get repelled from people.
Yeah.
Keep this in mind too. Don't work so hard to try to find something in common with people. Sometimes we think, I have to find something in common with this person so that we can connect.
Yeah.
It will organically happen. You can compliment somebody on their shoes or on their shirt. Yes, it's a great way to kind of open that dialogue, or maybe ask them about having children. Maybe you have children. You can do that. If it organically happens, the issue with trying so hard to find something in common with someone, it comes off fake. You may have been the recipients of that, where people are trying really hard to, oh, you do that, I do that. When it happens organically, wonderful. But don't work so hard.
She's right, and I just got it. When she said you may have had it happen to you, I just thought of a scenario of a person that I know would do that. He would come for me like a torpedo as soon as he saw me, and immediately be trying to grab onto something that we have in common, like, oh, you do that? Me too. Oh, yeah, me too. Yeah, you're into this? Me too. And then I might ask him questions like, oh yeah, what's your favorite, what's your favorite move? And he'd be like, and then it would just waffle on, and it would come across as fake, waffling on, or it would come across as bullshit, because some of the times it was. But I think that I'm also confusing that there is, what she's talking about, people who are trying to be more empathetic, who have a capacity to be more empathetic, versus other people who lack all sense of empathy whatsoever and crave influence. They're called psychopaths, and they are very good at faking it. But this kind of person I'm describing to you now was terrible at faking it and just wanted my approval, I guess. But it repelled me a little bit from him, even though he was kind of a good dude,
To do it. What I want you to do is put in the effort of trying. The research shows You just merely trying to connect with someone and understand them is enough. It opens the gateway to building trust, to building rapport. You can use this with a family member. You can use this with your kids. You can use this with a colleague. You can use this as a supervisor when you're trying to connect with your employees.
Yeah,
That's
it was
what
in a
this
work setting
is.
that this was happening with me.
And when people feel that you are
She's right, it
actually
can happen in any
putting
setting.
the effort in to try to understand where they're coming from, and remember, you don't have to agree where they're coming from, but you can accept where they're coming from. I want you to draw people in. I want people to see you and for their faces to light up and say, I can't wait to speak to him. Oh, I want to talk to her. That's what we want. We want people to be pulled in. I want you to be a magnet, because when you do that, you're going to have not just better relationships, but more opportunities. More people will be coming to you. Hey, you know what? I've got a great project for you. Hey, you know what? I've got a new job for you. Hey, you know what? I heard so-and-so is hiring. They're going to present you with these opportunities because they know that you're genuine, that you want to communicate with people in a meaningful way, you want to have relationships. Influence, by the way, is not something that happens fast.
Exactly.
Forget the fast track.
Yeah, what she's saying, influence does not
Forget-
happen fast, for sure. And I think that that's where a lot of people, including myself, have messed up in the past, where I go into a situation and it's kind of hardwired into me, like super adaptability kind of comes at the expense of influence, because when you're always having to adapt to new situations constantly and they're changing all the time, you're constantly in a survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, you can't settle into things and begin the slow burn of influence.
I want this now. You can get it now. It's not going to last. Put in the time and energy. I want you to plant all those seeds so that your relationships hold strong, so that your relationships hold over years,
Yeah.
so that people you are doing business with don't want to leave to go do business with someone else. That's when you've got it locked in.
Yeah.
That's when you've got trust, you've got empathy, you've got adaptability. You've got all these things together, and somebody else is looking at you thinking, there is no way I am leaving you to go somewhere else, because you are just that good for me. I like doing business with you. I like the way you try to understand me. I like the way you try to see my perspective. I like the way you adapt to problems and to issues. And I appreciate the way you try to work with me.
Yeah. See, she even used the word adaptability there in the end. And I had somebody who I worked for a few years ago, who will remain nameless, who tried to explain that to me, like, because we did kind of get kind of closer. We did get a little bit more, we had more empathy for one another for various reasons. And he kind of said to me, he acknowledged and respected my adaptability and tried to hone it, and did, I think. He was a good manager in that way. He did hone it into a weapon that helped his business. And
Try to understand me. I like the way you try to see my perspective.
Yeah.
I like the way you adapt to problems and to issues.
adapting to
And I
problems and
appreciate
issues.
The way
That's it. That's
to
what.
go
That's
somewhere
he
else.
had issues and problems going on, and he knew that I would adapt within 24 hours to whatever the problem was, on his behalf. A very busy man, and just run it back to him. And we had a good collaboration like that. But he was very blunt with me about, and almost forceful in controlling those negative things that I'm saying, those things that I've been trying to work on in, like, after 40 years old. I think maybe what Evie here is talking about using empathy as and vulnerability with intent, not vulnerability for the sake of vulnerability, as a form of influence, is a slow burn. You don't build influence overnight. You have to build it slowly, and you have to have patience for it. And I think wisdom and experience comes with it. It's maybe a more mature person's, or more controlled, more mature person's game, what she's talking about, what she's playing at. That's where I'm at now. And where I feel like, not in a negative way, like, oh, I've missed out, I should have worked on this earlier, but in a positive way, because everybody gets to a point of acknowledging weaknesses or threats, and then identifying ways of turning those weaknesses into strengths, or those threats into opportunities, with the reflection, with the gift of hindsight, with after the analysis is done, and you can say, oh, yeah, and after you have something to analyze, and to have something to analyze, you need to have gone through some stuff, to do some things. I think I don't regret moving between environment. Okay, when I was a kid and I was in school and changing countries, that was not within my control, but it set a pace and a mindset that primed me for decisions I did make for myself in my 20s, and to a lesser extent, but somewhat in my 30s as well, of changing, in and out of relationships quickly, in and out of friendships quickly, in and out of jobs quickly, enter, adapt, execute, exit, using not the tactics she's talking about here, Special Agent, different ones altogether, which maybe, could be misconstrued or could be interpreted as, like she said, manipulative or fake or performative, as opposed to genuinely influencing a situation, or, by getting people to like you and getting people to want you to be there and getting people to offer you the job instead of you fighting for it and acquiring it, or having people offer their friendship in their company instead of you having to acquire it, or own it or take it, But I think the younger people, especially probably men and certain upwardly mobile women, whatever, post-feminism or what have you, when they're younger, are attracted to the competitive nature of the take, acquire, get. Go get. Are you a go-getter? Go get it. That kind of thing. But then you mellow out, like now where I'm at in my life, professionally and personally, I'm starting to mellow out, and I'm actively looking for the opposite of that. And I'm looking in terms of where I'm working, who I'm working with, people I'm with, relationships, friendships. I'm looking for people that I can just be like, you know what, I don't need to chase this right now. I can tell them about, I can listen to what, John or whoever has to say about their hobbies and their interests. I don't need to dominate the conversation with my own or share, oh, me too, there's always tomorrow. There's next week. I take an initiative at work that might seem a little bit, whoa, hold your horses there. We got this, that, the other that we need to check on first. If my pace is different, is misaligned with the pace of how things are working on a project or in a game or whatever, I'm more than happy to wind it down, to step it down and align, because I've had enough of the adventure and enough of the complexity that comes with the chaos. Now I crave stability. So that's why if you are on the other side of the spectrum and you're thinking, oh, do I have to sacrifice? I don't think if you have the gift of youth, you don't have to sacrifice. When you're younger is the time to make mistakes and fuck up. Look at Evie here. How old is Evie? I mean, she looks great for her age, but she's definitely my age or older, probably older. She didn't get to where she's sitting right there on that stool, straight out of the academy. Right. Where we go from here? Why waiting until 40?
What if I told you learning doesn't get harder with age? Not when you're 30, not when you're 50, and not even
Why waiting until 40 makes you smarter? The hidden advantages of starting late. All right, hit me with it.
when you're 70, even if you feel it's too late. Steve Kaufman continued learning many languages into his 60s and beyond, eventually speaking around 20 languages. Grandma Moses began painting
Who are these
seriously
people?
in her late 70s.
Who's Grandma? Am I supposed to know who
Vera
Grandma
Wang
Moses is?
started fashion design at
Vera
40.
Wang, I know her.
Colonel Sanders learned to
started in
cook and
40.
run a business in his 50s.
Colonel Sanders,
Leonard
KFC.
Cohen didn't
Started in
start his
50s.
music career until his early 30s and went on to become one of the most influential singer-songwriters in history.
Leonard Cohen didn't start writing music until his 30s. Quentin Tarantino didn't start making movies until his 30s as well. Look at them now.
These people didn't wait for the perfect age. They learned.
No, they didn't.
Slowly, intentionally, and with practice.
Slow, intentionally, and with practice. Exactly how I prepare my bald spot and my mullet in the mornings.
As authors like Arthur Brooks explain in From Strength to Strength, learning and growth don't stop with age. The key is to shift focus from speed to depth.
Learning does not stop with age or slow down. What was that again? The key is to shift focus from speed to depth.
From trying to do everything
Yes.
at once to leveraging accumulated knowledge and experience.
Leveraging accumulated knowledge and experience. Yes. And pairing this up with the previous video we were watching, doing that by surrounding yourself with the people
Accumulated knowledge and experience.
in the places
For too long, we've believed the myth.
that can capitalize, and not capitalize, but can do that leveraging of your knowledge and experience for you, you know? Like, you don't have to do it all at once right now on your own so that you own it.
Knowledge and experience. For too long, we've believed the myth. Young brains learn fast. Older brains slow down. Most adults quietly stop trying, not because they can't, but
Most adults stop trying because they say, "Oh, I'm getting old," or "I've done all this already, so that's enough."
because they think
I own $1 million company. Why do I need to learn anything? Obviously, I know everything I need to know. I made $1 million. You know, I have a successful company. Look at my family. Look how hot my girlfriend is. I don't need to know anything. You know, like, whatever.
it's too late for me.
It's too late
Too
for
late
me.
to learn a language. Too late to play music. Too late to start a new career. The brain doesn't retire. Skills do.
Your brain, exactly. Your brain has other. Your brain was
Learning
wired
never
differently.
meant to stop at
This is
graduation.
psychology that she's
It's
talking.
meant to be
Psychology
lifelong.
versus neurology.
So how did they do it?
Our
The
brain
secret
was
isn't
made
talent,
to learn
it's habits.
lifelong. We are Homo
Let's look at the key
sapiens,
habits
the
that make
thinking
learning
monkey. This
easier,
is our
deeper,
thing.
and more effective
That's like
at
saying
any
a
age.
lion still
Habit
can't bite
1.
your head off. Still can't take down a gazelle. A lion always has its teeth. It'll always be able to take down a gazelle. That's how we are with learning.
Slow down, learn deep. Adults often judge learning by speed. If I don't get it immediately, I'm bad at this. Older brains prioritize meaning over speed.
Older brains prioritize meaning over speed. That's not a weakness. That's a strength. It's just like the same. Older bodies can tolerate the cold better than younger bodies can. Why do you think we evolved this way?
They connect ideas
Older bodies can take pain way better, 5 times better than young bodies can. Did you know that one? Another fun one.
better, retain knowledge longer, and understand systems more deeply. Example: many adult learners reread concepts, take notes in their own words, and reflect before moving on, instead of rushing. Try this. Read one concept
Read
and
one
close
concept.
the book.
Close the book.
Summarize it
Summarize it in your own words.
Take a 5 to 10 minute thinking break
Take a
to
little
connect
break.
it to what you already know.
That's called
Write
metacognition.
one insight sentence per concept. Write
Connecting
to
it
think.
to what you already know.
Don't rush. Depth
down.
beats speed.
Depth beats speed.
Habit 2.
Yeah.
Embrace
So
beginner
it's different from, when you're in college and you're just like trying to, your hand hurts because you're trying to copy the stuff off the board as fast as possible. In the words of the teacher, because they are the guru, they are the all-knowing, the almighty. You get older and that stops working because your brain starts working differently. Depth.
discomfort. Adults avoid learning because it feels uncomfortable. They fear mistakes or looking foolish. Stress blocks neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change. Example: Grandma Moses started painting in her 70s and embraced being a beginner without shame. Try this. Pick a skill you've never tried. Allow yourself to be terrible for a week. Record mistakes or sketches to track progress. Celebrate small improvements, not perfection.
Yeah.
Repeat daily. Discomfort becomes growth.
Yeah. What she just described is how I got into painting like when I was over 35 years old. It was always like in my head that art and painting and all that stuff for XYZ reasons was not for me, and then when I started to, it all started with not being embarrassed to be a beginner, not being embarrassed to suck at something. And it's kind of weird how that, I kind of cheated my way into it because I had severed my thumb. So I knew that, I was gonna suck, and everybody and know that the expectation of how well I could paint was so low that I didn't have to worry. I didn't have to be ashamed of how bad it was, because it was like a physiotherapeutic activity. And then discovering along the way that I'm actually quite good at it, or I got good at it, despite the injury, despite the limiting beliefs that I had about myself, made me really fall in love with it and be quite passionate. It's become one of my
Habit 3. Active practice beats passive.
active practice beats
As
passive
we age,
practice.
we often consume more and practice less. Watching replaces doing. Reading replaces testing. Highlighting replaces recalling. Research in Make It Stick, The Science of Successful Learning by Brown, Roediger, and McDaniel
Roediger.
emphasizes
Why do
active
why do
recall and
PhD people
teaching
always have these
others
kind of names?
as the most effective learning strategies. Try
Like
this.
really easy. It's like they're
After
made to be
learning
written in
something,
bibliographies.
Close all notes and write it down from memory. Teach it to a friend or family member, even if imperfect. Apply the skill in a small project immediately. Write to think, not to record. Don't just summarize. Write questions, diagrams, or
Right to think, not to record. That's reflection. And then leaving it alone and coming back to it later is so that you can assimilate it into something that you already knew. That's metacognition. People confuse the two, but they complement each other. They're like two sides of the same coin. They're not the same thing, though.
connections that help you process the idea. Habit 4. Anchor learning to experience. Adults bring context and experience. Experience allows pattern recognition, better problem solving, and sharper judgment. Example.
All right, she's talking to us about learning now. I'm not sure how the video says why waiting until 40 makes you smarter, the hidden advantages of starting late. It's a lot of riffraff about the neurology of learning, which it's not riff. I mean, it might not be riffraff, but to me, it's just a belief shapes effort. What's this?
People who think they're too old to learn perform worse, even
People who think they're too old to learn perform worse, even with healthy brains. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what Tony Robbins calls limiting belief, which
with healthy brains.
true for anybody of
Try
any
this.
age.
Write down
But
one.
probably it's more. It hits older. The older you get, the more that limiting beliefs can seep in because I'm old.
Seek feedback. Feedback helps detect
Seek feedback,
gaps,
helps
correct
detect
mistakes,
gaps, correct
and
mistakes, refine understanding. I love feedback. I used to hate it. Now it's one of my favorite things. I love getting feedback from people. I don't know how this happened, but it's just like after 40, like from being somebody who was allergic to feedback, I couldn't stand it. Criticism. I took it as criticism. Now, like I'm the opposite. I feel like people, when people feel too afraid to give me feedback, it scares me because I get afraid that I'm going to find myself in a situation where I might be second guessing myself, or if I find myself in a situation that I could have avoided because somebody was too afraid or too intimidated to tell me something, to give me feedback, So whenever somebody approaches me and gives me feedback about something, you did this wrong, or you could have done that better, or this was a mistake, I'm genuinely grateful for it. I'm not going to lie. There's still that part of me inside. There's still that little bit of whatever rebel or angst inside of me. The chip on my shoulder is still there, and probably always will be. But I don't let it control me like I used to anymore. I don't revel in the rage. Now I pride myself on my ability to control it.
Example. Benjamin Franklin shared essays for critique. Musicians record and adjust their performance. Try this. Share practice or notes with someone knowledgeable. Ask, what's one thing I can improve? Revise, repeat, refine daily. Journaling. After
Journaling,
feedback,
that's something
write how you'll improve
what I'm doing right now is essentially a part of my journaling process. I don't think journaling, she's got a little picture here, a little book, a little notebook, Journaling, and I know this, I'm paraphrasing from seminars that I've attended, Wim Hof Academy, Tony Robbins, stuff like that. Journaling is, and also actually in teaching as well, because journaling is a great way to metacognate on the things you learn. During teacher training, we had to keep we had to do like a little journaling after every lesson that we gave. Our mentors wanted us to do like this, like a journaling reflection. This is what they called it, reflection of how the lesson went.
Tomorrow. Habit 7. Make it personal and actionable.
Yeah, doing these videos are
Learning
part of
sticks
part of
when
that
it's tied
process. I've made some content about AI in the past few days, and I say it, I'll openly, transparently about it. Yes, I do use AI for a lot of things. Yet last night, I had a 1-hour conversation. I went back and forth with it about some stuff that was, like I would a journal, which prompted some of the videos that I plucked out today, which have prompted this YouTube video. So it's part of a process. Probably I could just sit down and write something instead, but this is like a multi-sensory process with the reflection, with the opportunity with the time gap in between, from like writing, talking, watching, 3 different senses of perception used there in the process. That also like integrating the reflection and the metacognition in different ways. I haven't patented this method yet. I haven't packaged it. And Tony Robbins would probably be telling me, I could monetize this into and create a coaching program of my dreams and then whatnot. Maybe one day, but right now I'm still in the process of working on my own on my own stuff. Using myself as a guinea pig, perhaps. What do we have?
To what matters to you. Connect it to your life, interests, or goals. Example, if you're learning a language and love cooking, learn vocabulary through recipes. If you're learning design and code, practice by building a small project.
Yes.
Try this.
She's exactly what I'm talking about. If you want to learn, now she's talking about experiential learning, right? If you want to learn how to design and code, build a fucking website. Yeah, like the best way to do it,
Goals. Example, if you're learning a language and love cooking, learn vocabulary through recipes.
If you love language and cooking, learn vocabulary through recipes. Genius. Brilliant.
If you're learning design and code,
practice
by building a small project.
Which, in college, you'd have to pick one or the other. The best way to learn both, if you want to learn both of them, the best way to do both of them at the same time is build a website. You're not going to become a specialist in one or the other, but you will have achieved your goal of learning something for both.
Try this. Pick one concept and connect it to a personal project.
Pick one concept and connect it to a personal project
even a tiny
or
step
interest.
Counts. Reflect.
Excellent.
How does this help me today?
I'm going to give this one a
Track
like. I haven't given a
small
like.
wins weekly.
Great video.
Progress compounds. Closing. Learning doesn't disappear with age. It changes its rules. The most effective learners aren't the youngest. They adapt how they learn. Pick one skill today. Start small. Start now. Age is no excuse.
Right. So in closing, learning doesn't disappear with age. It changes its rules. The most effective learners aren't the youngest. They adapt how they learn. And pick one skill today. Start small. Start now. Age is no excuse. May I recommend miniature model painting? And if you are interested and you're looking for somebody, if you're looking for a paint buddy, please enter in the comments below. We could do so remotely via online if you like, or we could do meet and greets and paints. I'll bring my pots and okay. What's next? A neurology professor says...
A neurology professor just told the CEO of Arc Raiders that he has no idea what they've built. Get this, she said the game should be submitted to science for psychological and social experimentation. And I've been telling you guys this.
Oh yeah. A neurology professor says Arc Raiders should be studied by science. Arc Raiders is a game that came out 2 months ago that I cannot seem to avoid. A friend of mine who was a member of like my Rainbow Six, I had a Rainbow Six Siege team where we played quite dedicated. We were trying to compete. We gave one season a proper go to see how far we could climb as a team and all that kind of thing. And then after that, everyone kind of went their separate ways and hadn't heard from him in a long time. And I just got one single message from him a couple months ago, which was check out Arc Raiders. And then from there, I heard about the Burnt Peanut, this game streamer who went from like game streaming nobody to like one of the biggest streamers statistically when he just did a couple of, let's be honest, some rebranding things and digital marketing upskilling in combination with streaming just this game that just launched and made a big boom. So the stars aligned for Burnt Peanut, I would say. And now the algorithms are working well for him. But also, that's why I heard about Arc Raiders. And then again this morning with this. Neurology professor says Arc Raiders should be studied by science. Why?
Social experimentation. And I've been telling you guys this since day one. Arc Raiders is not just a game. It's something different. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it, Sean Hensley online.
Here's what happened. Patrick Soderlund, the CEO of Embark Studios, was at dinner.
I know why this one creeped up in my feed. I watched a video by this guy before, which he's like, "Oh, I've been gaming since the 80s." How many times have I said that? He's been gaming. I've been gaming since the 80s. He's like, now I'm in my 50s. He's older than me. And he suffers from depression and anxiety. And he was saying how video games have helped him over the years with this, that, or the other. And he was talking about video games and in a context in which I have spoken a lot about it, and I agree with in a lot of ways. He's Gen X, if you want. I'm a Xennial. When I was just getting into things, he was the senior in high school, I guess, when I was in entering middle school. He was the big boy in the arcade.
The other night with a prominent neurology professor. Now, she's familiar with the game Arc Raiders, and she told him, and I'm quoting, "You have no idea what you've built. Forget about the game itself." She said that Arc Raiders should be...
Now I remember what he was saying in the other video. He was talking about, because before Arc Raiders, he was talking about other games that he was playing, like Fortnite and some other stuff, and that he had a realization, which I had that realization of a few months ago when I started playing World of Warcraft again, which actually I had also had a few years ago when I started playing World of Warcraft again, because I was playing, the injury with my thumb, I attributed a lot of how I started slipping and falling behind other players in terms of how I was performing on Xbox twin stick controllers with my thumb. It's like, oh, my rank kind of dropped, and in some games I raised my rank back up to where it was pre-injury, but in a very sweaty way, with a lot of commitment and a lot of effort and aim tuning, and I was using comms more, stuff that probably if I was using that stuff before, I would have been a lot better. Anyway, and he was saying that at some point he realized that it was just the level of gamers has surpassed him. He was like, in his own words, I was getting owned in Fortnite by 8-year-olds, like totally owned, who had been playing the game for a lot less time than he had, and playing video games full stop a lot less than he had. So that was where I think he's kind of his anxiety, like, he was holding games were kind of holding him together with whatever else this man has going on in his life. And that was the moment that it slipped over the edge. And for me, it was when I was like, okay, you know what? Let me go back to PC gaming, because then my thumb is not going to be an issue, right? And I started playing World of Warcraft around the time that my daughter was born. And I found that, I was having the same kind of issues that this guy was talking about. So I'm starting to pique my interest about this game, Arc Raiders. Now I'm starting to get really interested, but it's like 50. It's like, I don't know. It's not cheap. It's not free. That's for sure. So I might have to cancel some stuff, make room for that.
Studied from a medical and psychological standpoint because of what it triggers in people. She told him to collaborate with people.
Oh, and for the World of Warcraft thing, yes. I mean, like, this is what I wanted to write to this guy in the comments, maybe, and maybe I will. For me, and I mentioned it before, that I didn't slip so deep and dark into an anxiety and depression like this man did, because maybe because of the nature of the games that we play. He was really into, I guess, like shooting games and aim and kill death ratios and that kind of stuff. Super competitive. I found a way to feel like I still belonged in this community of World of Warcraft role-playing games, specifically World of Warcraft as well. I found a way to feel like I belonged in on Xbox through my voice, through my personality. You know, people don't necessarily want to play with the best player. They want to play with the most fun player, maybe even the most mature player, the experienced player, the knowledgeable player. So I didn't struggle so much with my rank slipping as maybe some other players do, other my contemporaries do. Also, I like strategy. I'm big on strategy and I'm big on role playing. So using my voice and my experience and my knowledge verbally with commands is something that is a value. I found other ways to feel valuable in certain groups, holding shields, holding positions, reconnaissance in these shooting games, that kind of stuff, which appeals to me. For this man, maybe it was a different story. And in World of Warcraft, I always was a healer. So like the previous video about starting something new and not being ashamed of kind of sucking at it, I had played for years as a healer, Holy Priest in World of Warcraft. And then when my daughter was born, I tried a different class, but again, I was healing. So I tried Shaman healing, I tried Druid healing, Evoker healing. But the results were kind of the same. So I was just still being compared by the high level younger people, really high performing younger players, by my throughput, my healing over time, the data, not, by any other metric. That's it. And that is kind of like classic Gnostic for the raid leader or the team leader, as it were. So I left World of Warcraft again for a while, and I came back to it again 2 months ago, with a different sense of purpose. And that purpose is kind of like when the voice that I found on the Xbox as well, then with my injury, which is the authenticity of somebody who's been doing it since the 80s or the 90s, the authenticity of somebody who's been playing World of Warcraft since the 20s. It's kind of like what we were saying about the slow burn of influence in the first video. Yeah, 20 years is 20 years playing World of Warcraft is a slow burn to build influence. And, that's that really. And a lifelong, 30, 35 years of gaming different consoles. I have a Sega Game Gear, that people I play video games with today, some of them did not know this thing existed. And it was the first handheld color screen gaming device. Today, everyone has one. It's called a smartphone. It has color. It's a color screen portable gaming device. So the first company to ever do that in color, not Game Boy. Everybody knows Game Boy. The first one people to do this in color was Sega with the Game Gear. I had one. I still have it. So, if I get owned by some, 16-year-old in Counter-Strike, it doesn't affect me the same way, as maybe it might have. If I get owned in the healing meters, oh, by the way, I'm a Shadow Priest now, so I'm doing damage. I'm all about that. I'm all about that DPS now. And in 20 years of World of Warcraft, I never, ever even committed myself to doing that. And it's a whole other beast. It's great because I don't need to feel ashamed. Yeah, I know the game, and people appreciate it because I look, okay, he knows the game well. He just needs to learn how to do damage. And I'm okay with that, and so are they.
People in the medical field to study what behaviors are being triggered when people play this game. And just to put this into perspective, Arc Raiders just released October of 2025, just a few months ago. It's already sold over 14 million copies. Nexon, the company that publishes the game, just branded it a global blockbuster. The game defied what they call the standard quick up, quick down trajectory of a hit game. See, it's not dying off like most games do after they launch. It's actually still growing. And
it's a slow burner, is maybe what the neurologist is saying. That this is a game that people are picking up and not putting down as quickly as what the new current generation of gamers are being characterized by, which is they want to pick something up, own people at it, become awesome at it, get good, they want to be fire, they want to slay, and then be like, meh, meh, throw it away and be like, right, what's next? Because all I do is slay. With this game, it's different. It's hitting people different.
And honestly, I'm not surprised because this game does something that most shooters don't. The CEO said the biggest surprise about Arc Raiders wasn't the combat. It's actually how much people enjoy the non-combat elements, the social parts, the moments between the chaos. Like,
boom, I rest my case. The neurologists are saying that the reason for this slow burning thing is because the thing that people are enjoying the most in this game is not the combat and the action. It's the moments between the combat and the action. It's not the stimulation. It's the moment between the stimulation that people are enjoying most about this game, aka the social aspects of it. The slow burning influence of finding yourself. I mean, you're in a pretty vulnerable situation when you're trying to escape an environment in this game that is, the environment itself is trying to kill you. There are other teams in the environment that are also trying to kill you, and anybody that you find anybody who you end up working with together to escape, collaborative, your teammates, they can turn around and finish you off as well. So that's all quite a vulnerable environment to be in, de facto, no explanation needed. And I think that primes everybody to be a bit more empathetic towards one another. And when you're empathetic with good intentions towards one another, boom, it's influence. And all this is because we are thinking social animals. I'm really getting interested in this game, and I think I'm going to try it out.
Like people playing instruments together, random players teaming up to help
each other survive.
Them on site. Strangers building trust in a game that's
that's designed for betrayal.
Shooter. That's not what happens in Call of Duty, Apex Legends, or Fortnite. Those games are about winning. Arc Raiders is about surviving.
Fortnite, Counter-Strike, yeah, all those other games are about winning. This is what he's saying. This game is not about winning. That's why it hit this man different. And why it cured his anxiety and his depression. His post-50s gamer, because he's in his 50s now, his post-50s gamer depression anxiety. I get it, brother. Share me your gamer tag.
Together, even when the game gives you reasons not to trust anyone. And that
the game tries to give you reasons not to trust anyone.
Professor looked at the game and said, this needs to be studied. Because most games trigger dopamine. Arc Raiders, however, triggers something deeper. It taps into fear, trust, cooperation, loss,
empathy,
relief, connection. It makes you care about people you've never even met. It makes you grieve when you...
He's not using the word, but it's empathy. It makes you care about people that you never even met. That's why the neurologists want to study this game, because it's eliciting neurological, not dopamine hits, it's eliciting neurological responses in people it was not meant to.
You lose gear that you spent time looting and putting together. It makes you feel genuine joy when a stranger drops you a blueprint instead of shooting you in the back. That's not just game design, that's psychological manipulation at its best. See, last year I was stuck. Depression had me isolated. I worked from home, I barely leave the house. I wasn't living, I was basically just existing. But when I started playing Arc Raiders, for the first time in months, I felt something real. Not because the game distracted me from my problems, but because it made me feel connected to something again. It made me feel connected to other people, to a purpose, to the adrenaline of survival, and the relief of getting to extract alive. And now, a neurology professor is telling the developers that they've built something that should be studied by science. That's validation for everybody that has felt what I have felt playing this game. And here's the thing, Arc Raiders might not be the only game doing this for much longer. There's a new extraction shooter supposed to come out this year.
Okay, so the genre is called extraction shooter, right? I think he should try an RPG too.
Called Rules of Engagement: The Gray State. It's also a PvPvE extraction shooter, but it's set in a horror environment. It's coming from Gray State Studios, who's published by Tencent. And it's taking the Arc Raiders formula and adding Lovecraftian horror elements, creepy pasta monster.
Then again, I don't know how much empathy and acceptance a 50-year-old newcomer to World of Warcraft would feel. I'd be a liar if I don't know what that experience might be like for somebody like this man, or maybe my experience is different because it comes with achievement.
And deep RPG progression. The developers are calling it a horror verse, a dimension filled with creatures from horror movies, novels.
Hold on.
And a horror verse.
I promise you, I have not watched this video. I just mentioned RPG, and he's mentioning this new one that's coming out that has an RPG element to it.
Creatures from horror movies, novels, and internet creepypasta. You play as a Strider, an elite operative sent into this unstable dimension to retrieve alien artifacts while
Echoes
fighting both
Stranger.
nightmarish monsters and rival players. And here's what's interesting. They're designing it with the same philosophy as Arc Raiders. The PvE elements aren't supposed to be brutally difficult. They're designed to create emergent gameplay that enhances the PvP experience. The monsters force you to make choices. Do I fight this thing and risk alerting other players? Do I sneak around it? Do I team up with strangers to survive?
Cool.
It's an extraction shooter meets survival horror meets psychological experiment. Could it be?
Extraction shooter meets RPG meets psychological experiment. Yeah, maybe I should just save my money for this new one that's coming out. That sounds pretty. That sounds.
Be the next Arc Raiders? I don't know. But if Arc Raiders prove that players want games that make them feel something real, then rules of engagement is betting.
That is crazy what he just said. But now it's sinking in, isn't it? Players are starting to crave games that make them feel something real. This is like we're entering a post-Gen Z era in gaming where their real lives feel so fake and curated, right? Because like I'm flicking through reels. Social media is my reality. That's my reels. And I know, like if you've grown up in that environment, if you're growing up like that, Gen Z and post Gen Z, that is what the real is. Then yeah, you're gonna want a FPS extraction RPG set in a horror environment with neurological, with psychological experimentation on how to make you feel real things with the other people you're playing with, because the feelings are real. The experience might be fake, but it's not trying to convince you it's real. It's like zombie environments. It's like, I know that this is a game I'm playing right now. I don't need to question whether that's a beauty filter or if those are steroid muscles, or if I know it is. It's designed that way. It's intent that way. Yeah.
That adding
I'm gonna think about that one more.
horror to that formula will take it even deeper. Now, I'm watching this one closely. If it nails what Arc Raiders did, that sense of connection, that emotional weight, that feeling of
So for young people, for kids these days, the realest thing they can do is enter a fantasy world and that elicits genuine emotional responses between them and the people that they're playing with, or on their own, right? Because like you said, if you're playing on your own, you come across something in the environment that forces you to make a decision. Do I engage with this thing and risk being heard by every other person in the valley right now, or do I creep around it? And if I do alert people around me, what's my next decision? Do I engage with those people and neutralize them, or do I put my hands in the air and expose my vulnerability? Do I even just ask them for help because I can't finish, the dinosaur or whatever that's trying to eat me, or the zombie? It's very human. That's why the scientists are curious by it.
mattering. But in a horror setting, that could be.
Speaking as a social scientist, the decision-making processes are they're baseline. They're not like a high fidelity. These are like survival instinct decisions that people have to make. They're hardwired deeply.
Be something special. So what does all
show
of
who
this
you
mean
are.
for gaming? I think we're
You have
entering
no other
a
choice.
phase where games aren't just about graphics
Yeah, fake
or
it.
mechanics or competitive
filter.
gameplay.
There's no
I think
edit.
we're entering a phase
You make the
where
decision
games are
right
being
there and then-
designed to trigger real human emotions and behaviors. Arc Raiders did it accidentally. The developers built an extraction shooter and the players turned it into a social experiment. And the developers know what they have now. They're leaning into it. The CEO actually said they want to add more instruments, more ways for players to connect outside of combat, more social elements.
And now the CEOs want to lean when they want to add more social elements and ways of engaging outside of the game. The scientists spoke, and immediately share prices will start rising because CEOs will start talking, right? You just can't escape the money thing.
And they're not just talking about it, they're actually doing it right now.
Oh, I'm
There's
sure
an
they're-
event
oh, yeah, I'm
happening
sure they're
in
building
Arc Raiders
apps.
as we speak.
Oh, there's an
called
event.
Shared Watch. It started on February 10th and runs through the 24th. And the entire point of this event is to reward players for cooperating and teamwork. In this event, you don't earn rewards from killing other players.
You don't
only
earn
earn rewards from fighting Arc machines together. The game
Right.
is literally incentivizing
They're
you to team up with strangers.
they're
and
incentivizing
work
people to
together
help
against
each
a
other.
common enemy. This is Embark Studios
Brilliant.
intentionally designing for the exact psychological and social behaviors that the neurology professor
The exact opposite of what the Counter Strikes and the Call of Duties and the Fortnites before did, and still do. Interesting. All right.
talking about.
All right, that's enough of that. Speaking of teenagers, what's
In
this?
South Whitley, Indiana,
Cop slams teenage girl, then her dad shows up.
near Fort Wayne,
As the father of a daughter, this one definitely caught my eye.
that cop just threw that teenage girl to the ground.
How old are you? 18. Good job. You're going to jail.
She's
The officer
18.
said she had been speeding and took too long to produce her ID.
Can you please grab my phone and my license?
She's 18, but she looks like she's
You're
15.
now going to jail.
Bro, and he just
You
slammed her to
understand?
the-
You don't get to sit there and tell me how I'm going to do my job. You understand?
Ooh, she triggered this guy.
Moments later, the girl's father arrived.
Triggered him
Give
bad.
me her ID. You want to give me her registration. So she was assisted out of the vehicle.
Assisted.
About 5 minutes out, maybe 4.
Well, the cop has now been assisted off the police force. It turns out the officer has a history of violence, and that city officials knew it in advance.
Officer Schimmel got fired.
All of this began when South Whitley officer Brian Schimmel, according to the
Brian
police
Schimmel.
department, pulled over
Name and
high school
shame.
Senior Vivian Augustus for a headlight violation and for going 37 in a 30-mile-per-hour zone. The parents of Augustus
She was
said
going 7 miles per hour over the limit, and she forgot to signal, and this is his response.
was nervous because she had never been stopped before by police. Officer Schimmel approached and asked her to roll down her window, which she did
Okay.
very quickly. As she was looking for
Roll
her
it.
license,
Open your window,
which she had
please.
forgotten was
Open your window,
attached to a
please.
School ID lanyard around her neck. Augustus asked why she was being pulled over, and Officer Schimmel reportedly said that didn't matter.
She says, "Why?
Teenager
Why am I
was
pulling?
fumbling
Why
for
am I
her
pulling him
ID and
over?"
Registration Officer Schimmel opened her car door and
He
told her
opens
to
the
get
door.
out.
She's looking for the
Seconds later, as
ID.
was still trying to find her ID and registration.
Okay, he's not
Officer
touching
Schimmel
his weapons
pulled
or
her out
anything.
and threw her down.
And he goes, "Right, out you get," and just chucks her to the ground.
Despite the gas station
What a
surveillance
douche.
camera and the police cruiser dash
About 5
cam,
minutes out,
it
maybe
was
4.
only now after the violent takedown when Officer Schimmel.
Oh man, it's getting me mad. I can feel the hairs on my back standing up. My hands are getting sweaty. No bueno. No bueno.
Game changer for AI
Daddy
video
Wolf.
creation.
Daddy Wolf is waking. Daddy Wolf is waking. I might fast forward through this part. Okay, cuffs her.
You can see the teenager's school ID and driver's license on the ground.
Yeah, her
With
shit's all over the
head.
place. She's looking at it. Poor girl. Fuck. No, I'm gonna skip through this.
To pull this right here, where you don't want to comply, you don't.
Ask her
Fuck
to
you,
exit.
Brian.
She refuses to exit until I tell her why. Tell her about 4 or 5 times to exit the
Okay,
vehicle.
now
Don't
his
wanna go
his
down this
colleague
route.
shows up. He
Refuse
starts
to exit.
explaining himself.
So, pulled her ass out,
Colleague
put her
is
in a
looking at him
bar,
with a
sat
sense
her
of
down, got her
disapproval, I would
How old is
say.
She said she's 18. Probably
Where's
4 or
Dad?
5.
Here's Dad.
Cracks the window. Ask her to roll the window down a little bit more. All the commotion and the rain, I can't hear her.
Yeah.
Refuses to do that. Ask her to step out. of the
Yeah, he
vehicle.
seems very
Refuses to step
compliant,
out.
very understanding.
Probably 4 or 5,
Relaxed.
6 times to exit the vehicle nicely.
You don't know what- you don't know what he did,
Refuses
bro.
to do it.
Wait till you see
her ID,
the dash
give me
cam
her
footage.
registration. So she was assisted out of the vehicle, placed into custody, resisting arrest and failure to identify.
Okay.
Okay.
That's, I mean, honestly, I know she's 18. That's probably my bad because I've instructed her that we roll the window down like that much.
Absolutely. You don't have to roll
Yeah,
it down
yeah.
all the way as long as you can
Come
get
here.
the ID out.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
problem is when I can't hear because of traffic
Yeah.
and the rain and everything. We're in a gas
Huh?
I know.
station.
I'm
You
saying
know, and you
that's-
ask her to exit the vehicle and she refuses.
Speaking
to
of
do
my
so.
daughter.
You know what I mean? Then
Yeah.
we go down this route.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
I just wanted to let you know. Are you dad?
Yeah.
Okay.
And my dad's a retired state trooper,
Okay.
so.
So,
Oh,
do you have some money?
so the girl's grandfather is a state trooper.
Earlier, I would have just gave you the car, but
Okay.
there's already a wrecker on the way. So
Oh, I can't just take my car?
let me see if they called him.
I got him.
He'll do
I
it.
was gonna say wrecker or not.
Well, they've already been called, but if they're not in the truck yet, I'll give it to you. I don't have an issue with that.
Okay.
I just have to do a search incident to arrest, make sure there's nothing in there she shouldn't have, and then I'll give it to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
that's
got your ID, so I can.
Yeah. So what happens next with her?
So she's gonna go to jail for resisting. She's gonna get a ticket for the headlight and the speed. She'll go down to Whitley County Jail. She'll be assigned a bond. and
The
then
speed, 7 miles per hour over the limit.
Doesn't matter.
Speed
She'll get a
demon.
bond.
Yeah. Can I talk to her for a sec, just to keep her chill?
Just disregard him. Yeah, you give me a minute, okay?
Sure.
When Bran Augustus spoke to his daughter, he found out that the arrest was not as peaceful as Officer Schimmel had portrayed. After Vivian Augustus was taken to jail and bonded out, the family then began efforts to get the police and body cameras, as well as the gas station surveillance video. After 3 months, the police finally produced their videos to the Augustus family, who then posted it to social media. The video showed, among other things, that Vivian had rolled down her window completely for Officer Schimmel, something he denied in his police report. Between Schimmel's lies and the violent takedown, the community erupted. Countless citizens criticized the police in person, online, and at a town council meeting. Initially, the town council said Schimmel's reaction was flawed, but not worthy of dismissal. But soon the police department acknowledged that Brian Schimmel had been suspended in 2023 by another Indiana police department before he was hired in South Whitley. The local prosecutor, understanding that Officer Schimmel would be a disaster, efforts will spark to belongs to her.
Okay. Like I said, that one was a bit clickbaity. I did not need to watch that. Dad showed up, didn't do much because he didn't know what had happened. And 3 months later,
There's no guarantee
they get
it's
the guy
been a
fired.
smooth
Okay.
transition. I'd say 3 to 10 years.
All right, this one. Oh, yeah. Tony Robbins, I saw him on the thumbnail. It's actually on his channel, official channel. And it says, no one is ready for what's coming. Tony Robbins on the brutal truth of AI. Tony Robbins, somebody I respect and admire immensely. He's helped me and millions of other people, obviously. And I've never heard him speak on AI before. This will be the first. I do know that he does use AI in his business at the moment. He actually has an AI that he's built with not David, Dane DeGrazi. It's DeGrazi, his business partner. So he says no one is. The title says no one is ready for what's coming. I wonder what the context. It's 10 minutes
There's
long.
no
I'm not going to watch
guarantee
all of
this
it
being
though.
a smooth transition. I'd say 3 to 10 years is my
Not now,
guess.
anyway.
But I don't think all business will be gone or changed at that time period. But the question really is, how do you provide certainty for people, right? And people ask me all the time, how do you provide certainty for people when the external world no longer offers certainty? And I would argue that you don't have to deal with it at all because it's already true. What I mean is there is no external certainty. External certainty is a total illusion. You have rented certainty because you have a certain business or you have a certain category,
He's right.
certain income, you have certain relationships. But a COVID, for example, instantly changed all of that overnight.
Yeah, from an economist's point of view, an economics teacher's point of view, yeah, we teach it. We don't say that certainty is an illusion. We say that uncertainty, we say it when we teach business as well, that uncertainty is bad for business, it's bad for economics, it's bad for economic growth because the less certain you are about the future, the more uncertain you are about your own decisions as you move towards that future. So creating more certainty for policymakers is better for an economy. creating certainty for within your business is better for business, for your employees, and so on and so forth. Tony's talking about on a personal level, right? That what people do, and people within this system as employees or business owners in economies, etc., seek to create more certainty for themselves so that they can make better, more rational decisions. It makes rational decision making more profitable if you're a business, or more utility maximizing if you're an individual. Makes it better. But like Tony's rightfully saying, yeah, it is an illusion. It's an illusion either created by your employer, by your government, or by yourself. Because like a pandemic can strike tomorrow. Your business can go bankrupt. Your bright new product, your brilliant product can become made redundant by an invention from somebody else on the other side of the world tomorrow. You can get hit by a bus. We could be hit by a comet. Certainty is an illusion on all levels. He's right about that.
Night for people.
And
you walk across the street and get hit by a car. And
yeah, there you go. The hit by the car thing. You just said it. He says it in his seminars.
So I think it's really dispelling the illusion of certainty.
Dispelling the illusion of uncertainty.
The ability to get that internal certainty. Look,
create internal certainty.
Teaching us that, same as AI, our brains are predictive machines. It's constantly trying to predict what's going to happen and close the gap between what it predicts and what reality is. And when it doesn't match up, that's when that craziness, that anger, that fear shows up. So it's going to show up on a large scale. So if we're going to make the transition, I think we have to anticipate what's coming. So when those jobs are disrupted, what will people hang on to? The answer is we have to give them two things. First, help them develop an identity as a creator. Here's what I mean by that. Most people that you talk to in daily life are stressed, but we think it's more stressful because we're managers today. We try to manage so much. We were not made to manage our circumstances. We're made to create. When you're managing circumstances, you don't feel any sense of agency.
We were not made to manage our stress. We were made to create. What's that? I love this guy.
Circumstances, you don't feel any sense of agency. You don't feel like you're in charge so much. We were not made to manage our circumstances.
We're made to
when
create.
You're managing circumstances, you don't feel any sense of agency. You don't feel like you're in charge. And
yeah, but I think that's why some people do it. When you manage your circumstances, you don't feel a sense of agency. I think that's why some people like to micromanage their lives, because they don't want to have a sense of agency. Because if you don't have a sense of agency, then you don't have to take responsibility for the outcomes of the circumstances you've created. In other words, if you fuck up, you don't have to take responsibility for it because you were just micromanaging and you missed something. You slipped on something, or you missed you were late, or I don't know. You don't have to take if it's you messed up something that you created that hits different, that cuts on a deeper level. You have to take responsibility for that, and then that's how you grow, though, which is why I think Tony's an advocate for it.
You feel events are controlling you versus you're controlling events. When you become a creator of life on your terms, it doesn't matter what changes in the outside world. Now, there's one other piece.
When you become a creator of your own world, it doesn't matter what changes on the outside. That's what he means by internal, and that's what he's saying about internal certainty. I get it. It's brilliant. Classic Tony Robbins. Couldn't have said it better myself, Tony.
Might say practically, like what skills would somebody need to be able to do well? Because I think about my grandkids and my younger kids and I say, how do I arm them? Right? Not just with money or resources. How do I arm them to have self-esteem, to know they can play the game? And the answer is developing an identity that says, I'm the kind of person that always finds the way. I'm the person that can find meaning in anything and empowering meaning. I know how to use my body to produce certainty, not try to get it from the outside world, which is an illusion. I have an identity. I'm the person that makes it happen. Then there's the skill. There's 3 skills. If you master these 3 skills, it doesn't.
Creating the identity and then acquiring the skills to put that identity into action. And I think this is where the AI drop comes.
It doesn't matter what happens with AI. It doesn't matter. You'll still be a part of what wins, because in the end, you're not going to be replaced by AI. You're going to be replaced by someone who knows how to use AI. The skill number 1 is pattern recognition. When you recognize a pattern, it eliminates fear. But the second skill is pattern utilization. Once you recognize financial patterns, business patterns, patterns of technology, you're not fearful. Once you start to use those patterns, you become powerful. But the third target that all my kids, I want them to move towards and constantly reinforcing is pattern creation. You're bringing something to the table that's never been there before.
Pattern creation sounds high level.
Three skill sets, I'll always be able to learn, and as I learn, I'll be able to master anything life brings me, including AI, technology, robotics, nanotechnology, etc.
Nice.
I work in the capital.
Definitely giving that one a like. I'm also going to give that one a little save. I'm going to watch that later. Maybe take some notes. I'm going to get through my list. How much time we got? Oh, wow. I've gone over an hour today. Okay. Let's take a short one then.
Rules most of us started following before we even knew we were following.
7 rules men over 40 should have broken sooner. I don't want to dwell on. Okay. Grind now, live later. Thinking about your something. Put women on a pedestal. Oh, these are the habits we should have broken. So grind now and I'll live later. We should have stopped doing that sooner. Thinking about your something, putting women on a pedestal. We should have stopped doing that a lot younger. That's interesting because I think that 20-something-year-olds today rarely do this. Maybe they learned from our lessons, learn from our mistakes. Being uncomfortable, doing, I don't know what that is. Real men don't quit. Right, that's a habit. That's a limiting belief, as Tony Robbins would put it. Don't rock the boat. Don't rock the boat. Just stay in line. Keep marching to the rhythm of the general's beat. And you should have figured it out sooner. Oh, you should have figured it out by now. That's kind of funny. A bit tongue-in-cheek to put that one last.
I think the 90s too, Steve-O, in particular, it's the last decade that we all shared entertainment together. Now, when I say that, meaning like new videos came out on Friday. We all saw it at the same time. Records came out on Tuesday. We watched Seinfeld on 9 o'clock on Thursdays on NBC at the same time. It was the last time we all shared water cooler talk.
That's really, really interesting of a point.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Before the media became so fragmented.
Right.
So...
Social media, Napster came in and like, when was the last time you bought a record? Let me share some. You buy a record, it goes into whatever it goes into. There's no tangible quality to it. That wasn't the case in the 90s, you know?
He's right.
You held something in your hands, you looked at it, and we all looked at the same time. You listen to it, you call your friends, here's a set track.
In the 90s, everybody was synchronized.
Oh my God, I worked in a record store.
Yeah, dude.
On the cash register in 1996. And I remember like just all day long the Sublime self-titled album and Tool Enema. It was
just neck and neck for number one in the record, and setting up the POPs, you know, the point of purchase where everybody looks at with those the merchandise items. So
it's a really good point that lends itself to nostalgia in such a massive way.
Yeah, you know, sometimes think about why is the 90s come back so hardcore? I'm talking fashion, all that, and people just have a real soft spot because we all went to the movies and saw it on Friday night together. We don't do that anymore, bro. You know, we just don't do that anymore. I'm not saying it's better. I'm just saying it's different. And I think that's the real heart and soul of the decade of the 90s, which will have been the last decade to have done that. You know, Napster came in and said, thank you, we'll take that for free, right? And now Hollywood is imploding. Man, you remember The Tonight Show, NBC lot? I pulled up there the other day to go to Extra, okay? It is a ghost town. There's this big, beautiful NBC studios that used to be, remember entering it with your little visitor's pass? Like, oh my God, this place is so amazing. The commissary, it's a ghost town. It's only Extra and Days of Our Lives in this gigantic space. And so,
it's kind of amazing that they still have Days of Our Lives.
It is.
Cockroach of all soap operas. It ain't going anywhere. But it truly
crazy.
You know, and I think social media has proven that
Days of Our
celebrities
Lives
are not as interesting or talented as people thought they were. Because when people watch, hi, I got a worm farm and I got 9 million followers on TikTok. You know, just like the people are interesting. People are interesting and fascinating. So the veil the thin veil, the fragile veil of celebrity is completely being crushed.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Which I think it's good. The good news is everybody can do it. It's also the bad news.
It's amazing.
Yeah, the good news is that everyone can do it. The bad news is how it's been enabled is now through advertising platforms. That's what's killing the synchronization of consuming media products at the same time, because they're being produced and consumed wherever, whenever, by whoever, on platforms that have no incentive to curate that in a way that is beneficial socially speaking. Even though they're called social networks, they curate those things in a way that is beneficial for their paying customers, and that's companies paying for your data so they can serve ads. That's the truth of it. Mark and Steve, what do you guys think?
Man. And Sugar Ray's still going strong.
Oh yeah,
Sugar
dude.
Ray's still going
look,
strong. Right on.
I am so grateful.
Dude.
As I've said a million times,
You guys should
on
make a
this,
Jackass 5.
podcast. And again, thank you for having me, Steve. It's
Yeah,
an
love it.
absolute pleasure.
For
I am
6.
so grateful for the songs that we have. When people come up to me and tell me what the songs mean to them, I'm gonna get emotional again. God, man, stop crying, big pussy. No, it just happened the other day.
Just let it go,
You know,
Mark.
that someone told me that my mom's no longer here, and we used to always sing every morning. And I have such great memories.
healthy.
And thank you. The guy was like on his knees thanking you for that memory. And I have those songs with my mom, who's no longer here. The fact that I could give that joy that these incredible bands have given me, it's beyond me. So I look at myself as the steward of these memories people have. And nostalgia is the most beautiful word in the world to me. I know a lot of bands don't like it, and that's on you, man. But if you look it up in the dictionary, all it is are these wonderful adjectives. Time I wish I could go back to. Wonderful. Warm, fuzzy. Like, how could that not be great? So you can call me nostalgic all day long. I will ride with it all day long. I love hearing the stories, and I'm super grateful. So Sugar Ray will always be the home base, my brother, always.
I love that.
Nice one. All right, that'll do me. Coffee's finished. Nice one. Appreciate it.
I've gotten myself into situations in the past.
Next time, Steve-O.